The X Project.
Turning his history
into our history.
Ancient Egyptians are what?
all the way last.
They what? That's what I'm talking about. Tell me something about the mummy that I don't know. What you know about King Tut? You know about, you are brilliant. Y'all ready for the field trip? If you raise your hand if you're against it. So the kids are against racial profiling. What's happening? Who else got some ideas why we might do something like this? So we take 20 kids, summer program, Boys and Girls Club, 8 weeks, 1 hour each day. We expose them to African history. We do current events. I wanted to show that the lack of awareness in African history and general history correlates with the misconceptions of the present condition of our culture and various cultures.
My name is Jeremy Patrick. I'm 14, and education right now isn't as good as it could be. My name is Darren, and I think that education is, well, you gain a lot of knowledge to it, but then again, some schools don't really teach you the main priority of it.
I just feel that education is very important. I think like nowadays kids don't think it's important as they think it should be.
What do you like about school?
Math and science.
What don't you like about school?
History.
Why?
I don't know.
What do you learn about African people?
That we were slaves.
Anything else?
No.
What do you think about minority history, African, Mexican,
Not
Chinese
enough
history?
in it. I think they should talk more about it to the kids. I think they should explore more.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the African American, they don't teach it as much as they should. Because everyone needs to know. Whatever race you are, everyone needs to know. Hispanic, white, black, African, every nation, every race needs to know outside their boundaries.
But I think that maybe they should just spend a little more time on every culture and that culture's history so that kids can know more and feel like it's more important.
They've created a false media impression of Egypt being white. They create this mummy idea of the mummy, of monsters, you see. And that these people being so strange and so different that the people watching it would never want to identify with them. So they take one of our greatest African philosophers and scientists, and a man like Imhotep, and turn him into a white man, turn him into an evil wizard, and then they feed that to our kids. And so this perpetuates the idea that Africa has no history, that Africa's made no contribution, and the only people that have ever done anything of significance are white people.
Mommy is a dead person that's wrapped up into paper all over.
Okay, what? Say it again.
Egyptian.
What are Egyptians?
Egyptian.
Hold on.
Shh. Old people living in the museum.
Are Egyptians black?
They're white. I know about mummies because they live in a pyramid with a closed door that old people lives in, and then they come alive and chase people in the city.
Why do you think mummies chase people?
Because
Hold on, look at me.
they put this little. It's just like drug test. Why do they chase people?
Yeah, why you think that?
Because they try to take their brains.
How you play dead mummy?
Oh, it's easy.
Hold on, tell me. Just tell me.
Here, you lay on the ground. You lay on the ground, and then you count to 5. And then you go sleep.
Okay, mummies wrap themselves up so they can get ready for the afterlife. You believe in heaven?
Yeah.
That's the afterlife. They were getting their bodies ready for the afterlife.
If you do not digest healthy media, just like if you don't digest healthy food, the output is not going to be healthy. You only can act on what you know. So if you're not getting the right information, you can't be expected to act in your own interest and to act in a collective community interest, because basically you've been brainwashed because you don't have access to good information. So where are you supposed to get the black story, the brown story of what's really happening and what really happened in history? The only way you're going to get that is from us. If we have to create our own thing. If we don't, then basically we are letting the hunter tell the story of the hunt, which means that the lion will always be the bad guy.
Do you think there are more black males in college or in prison?
In my opinion, I feel right now like we're striving to get more people, more black males in colleges, but in reality, I see them more in prison.
Why do you think that?
Because I mean, the stigma is that, you know, like black people, they're just sitting. Okay, go. Like the stigma that black males have is just that, like, we're always in the wrong places and just in deprived areas.
I mean, I would think, just assuming that there's more black men in jail, but that's just going on be assuming, but I'm not sure.
What makes you assume that?
Just because they're always into stuff and just doing stuff almost because they're trying to make a statement, like that.
Well, I mean, be honest. Okay. What makes you feel like that?
Because I've seen a lot of them do bad, I've seen a lot of them do good. It goes both ways. It's a stereotype when they say, oh, black people are prison.
That's right. Now,
Same thing with Mexican.
so what's your background?
I'm a Hispanic.
Now let's look at the most recent statistics, which is 2010. Now, if we look at jail and combine that with prison, we're going to see that 283,200 black men in jail. Now, when we look at the statistic of prisoners, we're looking at 561,400 black males. Now, when we combine that, that gives us 844,600 black males in jail and prison combined. Now, when we look just at college, let's see what we find. Okay, it's 1,185, but we have to multiply that by 1,000. 1,185 times 1,000 equals 1,185,000 black men in college compared to 844,600. We're being statistically misrepresented on TV as far as crime. More amount of young black men in college, so we just today going around asking people why, because all of the black people I asked said prison, and the only Hispanic that I asked said school. So I'm just trying to get an idea why we think this about ourselves.
I'm looking off the media, and the media giving us bad media. That's what that is. Media and newspapers make it seem as if there's more black people in jail, more minorities in jail than there are in school. And it seems like they're always trying to get more minorities to come to school. You know, we got this scholarship or this.
We counterattacking media with our own media.
There's a lot more black people than than any other race that is in jail.
Stand up. Why do you think that?
You know, more black people are in jail than prison.
Yeah, why do you think that?
I think that there's an equal amount of black people and white people in jail. It's just the age difference that makes it, because, like, you know, it's like nowadays we have more black people doing things at a younger age, like they're doing things 16 all the way to like their 20s, and like when it's white people, it's more like they're doing it in their 30s to 40s.
Yes, sir.
I think most black people are in jail because most black people sell like dope.
There are more young black men in college than there are in prison. More young black men in college than in prison. Now, that's a fact. So keep that in your mind when they try to tell you, when you look at the TV and you see black folks getting in trouble, keep that in mind. They're going to show you stuff to try to distort reality.
First, we need to create our we need to change our perceptions of the way we see Africa and Africans. We have to reclaim our history. We can do that by changing our images of Africa, because quite often the images is war, famine, and disease. Instead, we need to replace that with examples of tremendous accomplishments, of outstanding science, of outstanding philosophy, of outstanding building constructions. I think the images of African people as beautiful people needs to be presented. That is, the culture, the clothes, the music. All of these help to change people's perception and impression of Africa and Africans.
African Eve is a theory of the black woman being the first person on Earth. I wanted to show this from a scientific perspective, so the Discovery Channel had a documentary about it. It's not just Africans or African American that's supporting the theory of African-centered creation.
How do you feel about the African Eve after watching the video?
I thought it was cool because a white woman revealed that black woman was like first to live on Earth, because white people don't really like black people like that.
Well, do you think all white people don't like black people, or just a certain few?
It's like a few, but a lot of other white people are racist to black people.
In the beginning of time, it was the women providing for the men, and the men went hunting so that the women could cook the food for them.
So civilization started in Africa and spread to all of the different continents and countries and places like that.
Started in Pangaea.
When the Pharaoh was created, he created the first state. What was the first state to exist?
Egypt.
What was the first capital?
Memphis.
Once they started planting seeds and growing grains, they was able to store surplus. What's a surplus? Surplus is more than what you need. So if I need $100 to pay my rent and I got $200, I got $100 surplus. What can I do with surplus if I have more than I need?
You give it, sell it. You get sell it.
Sell it, or how are we going to protect the surplus? Yes, sir.
Having guards and soldiers and stuff to protect it, and not just living in the open.
So who got some ideas of what were some of the early things that people were growing and selling in Egypt?
Anything. They had hard wheat bread.
Yep.
They had wine.
Yep. Who do you think in those days could possibly influence the Pharaoh?
The people below us.
Maybe like a servant. No, the orange man. I forgot what it's called. Like maybe when one of his main servants, they're probably like, hey, you should do this.
Okay.
The priests and the church officials.
Say it again.
The priests and the church officials.
The priests created the Pharaoh. The high priest in Egypt created the Pharaoh. They created that Pharaoh. What was the Pharaoh? Norman. They try to tie the women in. They say, all right, you could be Pharaoh if you have bloodline from the royal queen.
The way that the men took the power away from the women is by trying to make them have a special title, make them like president and
make who themselves?
Yeah, like make themselves presidents, have like try and have the men again go against the women and say that they're better.
Who's seen some of the pyramids?
I saw one, Despicable Me.
I saw this first step pyramid.
Yeah, you're right. Who built the first step pyramid?
Imhotep made the first step pyramid. He had to become a doctor because when people were building pyramids, they got hurt, so he had to. So this is the first step pyramid. Khufu made the Great Pyramid. This is the Great Pyramid. Khafre made the second Great Pyramid.
Okay, what did the priests believe in?
God. Many gods?
and that was called polytheism. Polytheism. What's the belief in one God?
Oh, monotheism.
Monotheism. Hey, hold on. Amen Ra is an Egyptian god.
He's cool.
He was an Egyptian god that people believed in and prayed to for a very long time. He was a sun god. Amen Ra, sun god.
Amen Ra is a guy from he was a pharaoh in what is it called? Night at the Museum.
Yes.
I learned when they make a mummy before, like they have to take out the heart and they put it on they weigh it with the feather.
That's exactly that's perfect, because that brings me to something called the Maya.
So Maya is a code of conduct, and it actually is a goddess, and she's the balance. I like to think of her as kind of like a grandmother. You know, the one that where you go to your grandma for like values and lessons and stuff like that. And Maya, it originated in ancient Egypt. It's a way to judge the dead. So what they do take the heart out and weigh it. And they weigh it towards the principles of righteousness, truth, and justice. And that determines whether or not you get the heavenly reward of going to heaven and stuff like that. So the Maya has 42 like kind of rules that you're supposed to live by, and it goes by they measure whether you've done any violence, have you stole anything, have you told any lies, have you treated anyone unfairly, have you caused any kind of pain on anyone, have you made anyone cry.
Amen Ra created Mayat, which is a principle, is a way of life, and is an actual female personification. And in ancient Africa with the Mayat, there was no such thing as hell. So you either go to heaven or you cease to exist. Period. You cease to exist.
They're counting on our children to not have the desire and the will to bother to even look any more closely. Yeah. And that way they can just perpetuate those kinds of misinformation, those kinds of lies. Because what it does, it undermines our children's self-confidence. Everything that you do in this world is about the confidence that you can do it. So if you feel like you came from a culture that never did anything, particularly in the areas of science or in the areas of philosophy, and in the areas even of culture, then you just don't have the confidence a lot of times. It undermines your confidence.
My colleague Amber Portis and myself wanted to make sure that, you know, we gave them what we know and got their opinion.
I feel like the curriculum is redundant. It's memorization. Anyone can learn about the Abraham Lincolns, Columbus, and you know, each year it's the same. It needs to be less dictation and a little bit more interactive so that people can feel more related to what we're being told, and let people see all sides of history and not just predominantly one side of history.